Welcome, welcome. This is Solange Ellen, and I'm recording this little True News update regarding Takara Markwell and her abduction by the DCP from Eora Nation, Sandy Creek. And I'm here with Donna Markwell, Takara's mum, and with Aunty Sandy Ross, who is one of our trusted original elders. And Donna and Sandy have both been down and attended the DCP Noarlunga this morning to make further inquiries as to Takara's well-being and to instruct DCP that she needs to be returned and that we need contact with her. It's day 12 since they have unlawfully abducted her, and they have been holding her hostage with no contact at all with any of her family, not her mother, not her grandparents, not her father, not anybody that she knows. They're just holding her and we don't even know where still. So we're just going to do a bit of a debrief on what transpired in the conversation with the DCP workers down at Noarlunga. So how did it unfold, Donna?
Well, we went in, the Annalette tour was going, so Sandy and myself went in. We saw Cramp from Noarlunga DCP, because Joyce Clark was not there again today, so she's had Friday and Monday off, being not available. And another girl called Cat maybe, but they've got their masks on, so it's quite muffled to hear what they're saying. So maybe Cramp and Cat were the people that we saw, because later on in the visit, they actually said they would not give us their names. The receptionist declined to give us their names, and the receptionist declined to give us her name as well. So during the meeting, they were extremely disrespectful to Elder Sandy. They talked over the top of her. They told her how she should be and what was truth for her. They blocked her talking, and when she was talking and just telling truth, they became intolerant of just a normal range of general emotions, and they fabricated that we had become more belligerent and that they were tottering on terminating the interview at one stage. And we literally just laughed at Kelly and said, "Sit down, Kelly. Just sit down, please."
Yeah, they felt very uncomfortable with an honest conversation.
They did. They continued to deny all contact with Takara.
On what grounds?
Oh, well, there wasn't any grounds, and this was the challenge, that we were basically winning with the plan just to first get a phone call.
Yes.
You know, we thought, and they admitted that, they knew where she was and they knew there'd be a phone call. So as I described it, as an uncle healer and as a sovereign elder counsellor, I was concerned about her mental health. And that's, to me, was a humane thing that any human being would have said, oh, you know, that we understand that as a mother, that she doesn't know and was spoken to her child, you know, she does whether she's dead or alive. And it was sort of, I really, as an elder, I was bewildered. I couldn't believe how ignorant they were. I had a bit from the newspaper that, oddly enough, I got this morning about a 13-year-old, a young boy that had been in care that had committed suicide, and the DCP, you know, responsible. So I just suggested that, you know, with Donna, that she was concerned. Why aren't you allowing a phone call? This is mental health. This is just human rights.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't seem to have an answer. It just was unreal to me.
They said, if you have a phone call, we'll have to basically tell you what to say. You can't talk about this, you can't talk about that, you can't talk about this. So I'd have some kind of invisible gag order on you. They just terminate the conversation. They just cancel. They just, you know, that's what they do. So, you know, but even that, they couldn't even give me in the end. Even that, even their empty promise just ended up being an empty promise. So of course I asked for court orders, and they said, "Oh yes, we've got court orders. Oh yes. Great, can I have a copy, please?" Yes. Well, no, they couldn't give me a copy by the end of it. And I said, okay, well, if you can't give me a copy, can you write down for me that you're not giving me a copy? I said, because you've actually breached your own order. 5 days you get to get court orders, and then you have to return the child immediately. The according to section 42 of their act, that they, in section 41, they steal your child. Well, they're supposed to give it back immediately or 5 days if they find nothing. Where's the court order? Don't have it. Day 12. So even by their own law and legislation, they're way, way out of line.
Yeah, so they're not even following their own corporate policy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. And the cruelty that this must be, they're trying to break Takara or something. Now they know she's from Eora Nation.
Yes.
We told her from my mother's line, Sydney, Bankstown, right through my mum, my grandma, my great-grandma. My mum's still got the RH negative blood. It's come all the way through. So I was able to substantiate that in the presence of Sandy today and tell them who they're really dealing with.
And how did they receive that? Because there is, within their own policy, they're meant to, you know, provide for, you know, cultural appropriate care of the original children.
They were disrespectful
Actually, I think that they were, I think it hit them that, wow, that's why Aunty Sandy's here. And they just put me aside for, oh no, because they actually thought there wasn't any lineage in Donna's sign. But I could see their body language. That really hit them. Then they thought, wow, this is not going to be good for us.
We're breaking all kinds of law here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and divine law, natural law.
Yeah, exactly.
International law as a declared party to people's treaty.
Yes.
Yeah, and the cultural, that was just so disrespectful. Yeah.
They were offensive actually to the original culture. Yeah. Any original person in there would have been offended.
Yeah.
You were not allowed to show any kind of truth in your emotion. You had to be flatline like them. They did not talk about Takara's health. They didn't tell me they know where she is, but they didn't tell me how she's going. They didn't tell me that she could talk to Nana and Granddad. They didn't say, they have absolutely
nothing to comfort or reassure.
No, they're abusing her
and you.
abusing us.
Yeah.
And anyone who cares for her, I can tell you right now, they're completely beside themselves.
Yeah. And what about the fleeing bit? They'd say that you were fleeing. That's another excuse to keep. And we challenged and said, well, relocating, you've got proof that, you know, you were relocating way before she was taken.
3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago now. I've had everything shipped up to Mum and Dad's. We can get the removalist $1,000 that I paid.
I actually saw you post that you were leaving and moving to be with your grandparents weeks and weeks ago.
Weeks ago.
Yeah.
Weeks ago.
Yeah. So they're saying you're fleeing. See, that's where the English language could come in and be very deceptive. And that was pointed out to them, wasn't it? So they didn't really like that either.
Sandy was trying to just help them adjust their warped perception of words. Yeah, so they didn't want to accept that.
Yeah, because
they can never be wrong.
Weaponize the language to try to manipulate, to justify their crimes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that, you know, we sort of wanted to pinpoint the main things of this, because it's an ongoing action, and we'll have to get in touch with
Kathy Taylor. We'll have to get in touch with, because she's in charge of all of this. Joyce has made herself absolutely not available at all, and so we'll probably go and have a chat with Kathy Taylor next, and you know, we might take some elders there and have a little chat with her about what's culturally a bit more sensitive. Maybe her workers need a little bit more education around cultural being appropriate, because it was nothing short as if I was Muslim, went in there and they would have said, we're not talking to you, let's just take your that jib off. That's like how offensive it was. It was just like
for any culture
that you
other than
unless you're like a flatlining robot that says yes ma'am, no ma'am, 3 bags full, you're just, they can't talk to you.
No.
And this is what we actually found firsthand today. Not just us, there's many who have found them to be like, to quote Aunty Sandy today, she said to them, that's a bit Nazi-like, isn't it? End quote. That's what she said to DCP to their face today.
Yeah, and that is the reality of what parents everywhere are dealing with. And every time any of us attend a DCP office and interact with any of the other victims, the parents and hear any of their stories, they're absolutely heartbreaking. You know, they're stealing children at an alarming rate. And we as a community need to start talking about this openly and honestly. We need to take off the gags, you know, remove the shame, because the shame belongs to the DCP and the criminals that are stealing these children and acting so cruelly and with complete inhumanity towards these vulnerable parents who in many cases do need help. They do need help, but they need help, not to be tortured.
Yes.
So they're breaching all of their own policies. Absolutely, all of their own ethical policies. I'm a nurse, 30 years. I know what ethical policies they should be adhering to, and they are breaching every human right, ethical, their policies and procedures, their acts.
They're acting criminally. Full stop. There's no defence.
They'll use Section 41 of the Act to take your child, but they won't adhere to any other act in the Children's and Young People's Act, 2009, I think we're on. So they pick and choose, and they were really disgusting. Their treatment of us today was nothing short of disgusting.
Yes.
Exactly.
So we want to keep the pressure on the DCP and let them know that we as a community are really watching. We're holding them to account. They're not going to get away with this. So please continue to call and inquire about Takara's welfare. You have Donna's permission for that.
Yes, please. Please do.
And share this story, share the information, have conversations with your family and friends, because if this can happen to Donna and Takara, this can happen to anyone.
And please feel free to write to Kathy Taylor too. Write her a few letters. Let her know what's going on in her backyard. She seems to be completely oblivious to it. So we're going to have a little knock on her door next and get a little appointment and talk about what's happening down at Noarlunga.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. We'll just focus on that at this time, because there's a lot of other cases, and I think we've just got to put all our energy into this, the ancestors. It was amazing.
We were having a phone call with another elder on the way back in the car, and she said, what are you doing? What's happened? I can hear all didgeridoos and some other instrument playing around you. What have you done? Have you got the radio on? She thought.
Yeah.
And we said, no, we haven't changed a thing.
Yeah, and that was just confirmation. And I got goosies. We got goosies.
I just got them again.
Yeah. So they're with us, and they need us. We're the messengers. They said we have to go in. It's just like all you people out there, you've got to actually speak up, and then the ancestors can come in and go through, and they can work with the higher selves of those other people. That's how it works, you know. So you don't really have to be physically there. We do, because we have to get it going. But all those people out there now, all they've got to do is use their third eye, pineal gland, and the thought process, and they're doing it.
Yes.
Okay,
See it as completed.
Yeah, let's hold that vision.
Pray it as completed.
Let's hold that
the
vision.
Divine, all the angels, all the ancestors, all the elders, every spirit of a tree,
all the
animal,
mothers.
all the mothers. This is new women's business.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking back all the babies and all the children.
Yes, they're
into love, where they're loved and safe.
Yeah.
So if you could share that vision with us, we'd really appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, nothing.